My name is Margaret Ann Windsor. Now, I hope I got this because I want to focus on um, what's in this. Is Hustler, April of '84. And it was the editorial Mr. Flint did. He had supported me in a congressional campaign, October of '83, to replace Larry McDonald, Congressman, 7th District from Atlanta, Georgia, and he'd flown me out to his home. Now, I had written a book about Larry McDonald, or that was cases in the book, in '77, '78 when Larry Flint was shot in nearby Lawrenceville. I was writing the book in Marietta, Georgia, while I lived there at Moonraker Apartments. And the title of the book was M.D. A License to Kill. Now then, I got a letter from the U.S. Attorney's Office, William Harper in Atlanta, and the FBI have to issue that through them, and it was an ongoing investigation, national security involved. April the 1st of that year, '80, I was filled with antifreeze and should have died. A fiasco took place. I ended up across the state line working for the district attorney, and I was taken illegally, by the way, and had brain damage. But I went to work for district attorney from Madison County, Huntsville, Alabama, Fred Simpson. I lived at Warren House Apartments, so they are equipped right there. The Warren, as in the Warren Commission, and the Kennedys, who the father helped kidnap me, Joe. He was in Great Britain, the ambassador, 36 to 46, when they kicked him out. And John Kennedy was flying in and out and talking. He wrote a book, When England Slept. Now, they're celebrating, well, they're not celebrating. They've celebrated my demise and my father's, because that's really what they've done. 50th anniversary of the Kennedy assassination, and not one word of truth about me or the takedown of my father, and what has been continually the torture, psychological, chemical, physical, you name it, of me and my sons, and my father and mother were never able to bring me home. Now, said I wanted to focus on this because I wrote about mind control murders, and Larry McDonald, whose plane went down, and I was flown to Flint's in the campaign to replace him. Larry Flint was shot. The man that shot him was programmed. And I wanted to say this. I want to get into a couple that just I've told about these, and I mean, I have not received anything but hell and threats and everything from telling about it. Don't kill the messenger, right? Uh, the mind control murders were done in patterns, and they were meant to be. How else could you prove it? Because mind control is invisible. But I want to show you this editorial by Flint in '84, April of '84. It's cryptic in itself. It has Larry McDonald, has Thomas Murphy, Georgia State Senator, and Culver Kidd. Now, Murphy is cryptic, and it's used in some of the mind control murders. It also means that if anything bad can happen, it will. If anything bad can go wrong, it will. And Culver is in Century City, or Culver you associate with movies. Kidd, by the way, was the first live-in. I couldn't get a job when I came here. I was shut down. I lived on the Appalachian Trail in the winter and froze and starved with everybody watching, trying to get me just go. But I worked for as a kid as a live-in when I first came here, from probably about last of October of '86 till I've forgotten February of '87, and here's what they wrote about me, and they wrote a lot of stuff. If you could get it now, they're on Times which were half-truths. They wrote lies. But I want to put this. This was one of the times at the Atlanta Journal, and believe me, before this ever happened, when I was doing the book, Atlanta Journal, everybody knew about this back then. They wouldn't print, but I was with the Georgia Bureau of Investigation. Let me say this: I put an ad in the paper to get someone that I could check out and trust to retype my book for me, because I was trying to finish the cases and retype it myself and retype it and do all that. Well, guess who ended up typing it? Answered my ad and told me if I needed to talk with her, just call her at work. She gave me the number, and when she answered, it answered the Bureau of Investigation, Georgia. So nothing's happened since then to help. Nobody's been prosecuted for any of this. What's been an ongoing thing to me are the mind control murders, or the people who have gotten into hurting me. But this was in November the 26th of 94 that the Atlanta Journal picked up on the Roanoke Times. Ran for Congress in 83, ousted from the 10th National Forest in 94. 11 years ago, Peggy Childers was among the congressional hopefuls in a race to succeed U.S. Representative Larry McDonald, the Cobb County conservative who was killed when a Korean airliner was shot down over Soviet airspace. So this was how I looked then, is what they're saying. And when you're up on the Appalachian Trail freezing and starving and you can't bathe or don't even have a toilet, I guess anybody would do good to look like that, right? But you should see some of the inflammatory, the horrible things they wrote in inferring. There's nothing crazy about it. I just told the truth that things were done to me. The crazy part is everybody stood by and watched and would not help me and allowed the whole thing to happen. So here's an article by the District Ranger, Pat Egan, inferring the same thing. I can't sue anybody. I can't get an attorney. So if anybody thinks it's nuts, well, I hope that it's going to be told or I couldn't live. And told, you have to get the media before anybody will believe it or have to listen to it. And the media is controlled by the Rockefellers, the Rothschilds, the New World Order, which Elizabeth, which I'm going to say in a minute, the illegal monarch, is a part of, and Charles is too, and they've been filmed there, and it's been shown. Now then, I want to say something about the mind control murders first. I have done videos. I have taken over the years since early 70 this to the press when I had no money to Xerox or anything. I lived a hell of a life trying to tell it and live. And so this goes back to early 70s and even before. But the ones I have told the media here, the local, I've sit right in their backyard, lived for months at a time by Channel 7. Anyway, it's been taken to the Dallas media, the Huntsville, the Atlanta, and everybody's afraid of it. It would lead back to my kidnapping in 41, and let me go ahead and say this. My father is the real King Edward VIII. This is a photograph a poetry by Frank Salisbury. So that fits into one of the murders in Brian Nichols in Atlanta federal court, where he shot customs officer Salisbury and a bunch of stuff there a few years back, and he's in prison. So I showed you that. This is My Aunt Georgia O'Keeffe, the artist. That's the O'Keeffe with Georgia, the genealogy sheet with Georgia, and my mom is Claudia Ruth O'Keeffe, and she was the baby, and she was born in 1899. Now here is this is another picture of Georgia, and this is my uncle who became the illegal George the Sixth, Elizabeth's father, and she's illegal. He helped in my kidnapping with President Roosevelt, Joseph Kennedy, and his kids. John was flying in and out. And those were mind control murders that was used in the JFK assassination. And I don't think I'm going to get all this on it. But here's his daughter, who is now the Japanese ambassador, which guess who helped do all this to the Japanese? Um, Her father and the group I'm talking about that did it to me and my father brought my father down illegally using a double, and I don't have his picture right at the moment, that married Wallace Simpson. Um, I want to show you some of the mind control murders real quick. This is later on, but they're in the patterns. This is Timothy McVeigh. He's dead, Oklahoma City bombing. And here is William and implantable biochips, which I wrote about in 77, 78. This is Project Lucid is the title, and that's of the New World Order, which Elizabeth is part of, and the Rockefellers. Now then, the shootings next door to me, I'm in Roanoke, we're at Virginia Tech, and there was a bunch of murders happened there that they don't connect. But here's the psychiatrist that did the Fort Hood shooting. He um, he finished school at Virginia Tech, and he was born here in Roanoke and Vinton. This is the Roanoke area. He was born right here. So that's just those two show you that, hey, what's really going on here. Now then, I wanted to add this, and I'm going to try to get this in if I can. The last one's the murders. Remember, I was out at Flint's, and he actually showed me, they called it the galley back then, of Jerry Falwell. I had no idea. This is in October of '83 when I was at his home. He showed me the parody of Falwell. I didn't know I was going to end up living in Roanoke next to Lynchburg, Virginia, where Liberty University and Jerry Falwell um, own all that. But anyway, these are the last ones. And I'm going to let you, I'm just going to put them on here because I've suffered enough from all this, and I wish it would be over. There were two murders yesterday morning. One at Liberty University, student Joshua Hathaway from Lubbock, Texas. He was shot and killed by a security guard. And by the way, it was at a girls' dorm, and it was near Quality Inn there on Albert Lanford Drive. Now, I live here at in Roanoke, and I'm not going to say, but it connects there. Halfway, the name Hathaway connects with Jane Hathaway. Nancy Culp played the part. She was secretary to Mr. Drysdale and the word Jethro is used in it in the Beverly Hillbillies. So it's cryptic, and it does fit into the patterns and proves itself. Okay, the other one I wanted to say was, and I'm not going to get it in here. I'm going to have to, if you want to listen to the rest of it, you can follow on the next one.